Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the last session of the day on a topic that is of interest to all of us. It is the four C's of diamond, which gives us a lowdown on the quality and value factors to be taken into consideration while selecting diamonds. We have to discuss this with us Mr. Mohit Agarwal, instructor GIA India, who will take us through this. Welcome, Mr. Agarwal. Over to you.
Thank, thank you, Ms. Padma, and a big hello to everyone and welcome you all. Thank you so much for joining in such good numbers, and I hope the last 2 days have been really engaging and fruitful for everyone in this new normal and this new way of doing the business. I am Mohit, and I will be talking about the language of diamonds today, the coveted 4Cs. But let me just build it up for you guys. Let me just introduce who we are. We are GIA, the Gemological Institute of America, which is a non-for-profit research-based organization. And we are run by a mission to keep the public trust alive in gems and jewelry. And we do that by our four pillars of research, instrument development, education, and laboratory services. In India, we are situated in Mumbai and Surat, where we offer our diamond related lab services as well as educational programs. We also have a booth here in this show. So if you need any information about GIA, just visit our booth, and there are lots of brochures to be downloaded, videos to be watched, and our representatives there to help you out. So today I'm going to talk about the 4Cs of the diamond. But the story of diamond in itself is a very interesting one. Diamond being the only gem made out of a single material, single element called as carbon. It is one of the most beautiful gems. It is also hardest, and how ironical it is that carbon, which makes diamond, also makes graphite, which is so soft that even a paper can scratch it. So what separates diamond from graphite, even though it is made out of the same element? It is that extreme miracle in nature, the extreme set of conditions of about 50 to 70,000 times pressure than the Earth's surface at a temperature of anywhere around 700 to 1100 degrees centigrades, and you get those conditions right below the Earth's surface at around 200 kilometers depth. So, and over hundreds of millions of years, you get diamonds formed. So diamond forming in nature is a miracle in itself. And then they wait there for millions of years for another set of events to happen in the earth, which carries them to the surface in a matter of 3 to 10 hours. Otherwise, all the diamonds will be lost and will recrystallize into graphite. Then after they come to the surface, they wait for a mining company to discover them after spending hundreds of millions of dollars, establishing a mine. But all of this is a rough state. After the cutters cut and polish the diamond, that is where our story begins for today. And that is what I will talk about today. But before we move on, let me just tell you that this is a copyrighted material, and please do not record it, do not take any videos. GI reserves all the rights for reproducing this without GI's permission will be an offense. So let us begin. Now, the 4Cs, until the middle of the 20th century, there was actually no agreed upon standards by which diamonds could be judged. People used to use various terms for color, clarity. There was no cut grade at that time. Carat weight was the only thing that was defined at that time. It was when in the 1950s, GIA created the first and now the globally accepted standard for describing diamonds, which is the color, clarity, cut, and carat weight. Today, these 4Cs of diamond quality are the universal method, or you can say the language for assessing the quality of a diamond anywhere in the world. You can be sitting in Johannesburg or Hong Kong or Mumbai or Antwerp or New York. A diamond is communicated based on these 4Cs. The creation of these 4Cs also meant two very important things. One, diamond quality could be communicated in a universal language. And second, that the consumers who purchase diamonds could now know exactly what they are about to purchase. And this story of 4Cs, I am going to talk about in detail. I will discuss each C in detail. And of course, as per the time permits, then I will talk about a few services that GIA offers related to the 4Cs. And in the end, we will take any questions that you might have. So if you can see on your screen, at the right side of your screen, you will have ask a question. So during my program, during my presentation, if you have any question related to the 4Cs, please feel free to type them and we will address those questions in the end as per the time permits. So let's begin with the first C. The first C is diamond color. And a lot of consumers actually believe diamonds are colorless or white. But the fact is that majority of diamonds used in jewelry range from a colorless to a light yellow or a light brown. And this is called as the normal color range of diamond. Based on this normal color range of diamond, GIA created its color scale for diamond, which is now the industry standard, which starts with the letter D. Here you can see that D, E, F are colorless. Then you have G, H, I, J, which are near colorless, K, L, M, which are faint yellow or faint brown, N to R, which are very light yellow to very light brown, and S to Z or Z, which are light yellow or light brown. Now, based on this colorless to light yellow and light brown D to Z scale was found. And how did we start with D? That's a question we are asked a lot of times. So before we were universalizing D to Z color scale, a variety of other systems were used, but very loosely. Like there were alphabets used from A, B, C to Roman numbers to Arabic numbers, and descriptive terms like gem blue, blue white, Jaeger, river, Wesselton, notoriously famous for misinterpretation. So the creators of the GIA color scale wanted to start fresh and without any association with the earlier systems. That's how we started this. Now, the diamond color evaluation in most gem quality diamonds is based on absence of color. Here you can see 4 diamonds and the leftmost one has the least amount of color, and that puts it really high in the color grading scale and makes it rare, just like a drop of pure water. And that's why a D color diamond is the most expensive if all the other factors are equal. So GI's D2Z color grading system reassures the degree of colorlessness by comparing a stone under controlled lighting and precise viewing conditions of master stones used to establish the color. Now these master stones are something which are pre-graded and have to satisfy a lot of conditions, because we at GI do not grade color by memory. We always compare your diamond with the master stone and then assign it a color grade. Now that brings me to another question. Are all diamonds just colorless, yellows, browns, or there are possibility of other colors? Of course there is. Diamonds come in an array of color, a variety of color, as you might be able to see here on your screen. And any color other than the yellow or brown, even slightest face up, like here you can see a very slight pink, will classify a diamond into the colored diamond range. Or if you have a yellow or a brown diamond which scores more color than the Z master stone, that also qualifies as a colored diamond. And when it's a colored diamond, it's a different ball game. Here you are not looking for the absence of color, but you want more color in the stone because that is what makes the stone more rare. So the entire grading system, grading pattern shifts. So GIA started its color grading system right in 1950s when people from the trade were coming to us to ask about whether this colored diamond is treated or not. And we kept developing it till 1994 when we started issuing our colored diamond grading reports. And the grades for colored diamond are very different compared to your normal color range. Here you can see inside you have faint, very light, light, fancy, fancy intense, fancy dark, fancy deep, and fancy vivid, where fancy vivid is the highest grade. If you look at this image selection of pink to red color diamonds of various grades, you will find that in this color grading system, when you go from top to bottom, the colors goes from light to dark. You can see that it is getting darker. I'm sorry. Light to dark. And as you go from left to right, the color's intensity is increasing with the most valuable colors somewhere here, which are intense enough, not too light, not too dark. And that's what gets a fancy vivid grade. Of course, GIA also has a proprietary collection of master stones which we have built over decades to be able to grade this color in diamonds consistently. And also we recognize the importance of a surrounding environment which has to be so neutral so that diamonds don't pick up any color from the surroundings. So we ensure that our lab has a very neutral gray color, non-reflective material throughout the furnitures, the clothes we wear. Also, the way we can ensure accuracy is by selecting our colored diamond graders. Potential graders have to pass through a series of tests and complete special training before they are eligible to grade colored diamonds. So basically, more the color in a colored diamond, the rarer it becomes and the more valuable it gets. Which brings me to the next C, diamond cut. Most often people think that diamond cut as a shape. Round is a shape which is the most commonly used in diamond jewelry, but there are other shapes which are known as fancy shapes. For example, the marquise, pear, oval, rectangle, hearts, triangles. There are a variety of other shapes also which are gaining popularity in the jewelry industry. Diamonds are renowned for their ability to transmit light and sparkle so intensely, something which we talk about in the cut. So often people talk about diamond cut as the shape, but what the diamond cut actually means in terms of grading is how well a diamond facets interact with light, how precise artistry has gone in workmanship are required to fashion a stone so that its proportions, symmetry, polish, they all combine together and deliver a magnificent light return, which is only possible in a diamond. So as I said, in 1950s, we started with creating the 4 Cs. Cut of a diamond was, recognized as a value factor, but there was no cut grade because there was no technology that could actually map how well the cut of a diamond was. It took GIA 15 years of research, thousands of observations to arrive at the cut grade in 2006, where we gave cut grade on a standard round brilliant cut diamond only, which falls within the D2Z color range, and we divided a diamond into 5 cut grades: excellent, very good, good, fair, and poor. And out of the 38.5 million possible combinations in which you can cut a round brilliant diamond, there are only very few selected such combination of proportions which will yield an excellent cut diamond, which means it performs the best in beauty and does not harm the durability of the stone. So GIA cut grade also takes into consideration the design of the stone, the craftsmanship. As you can see here, so many different proportions we have written. So we evaluate all of these proportions like the crown angle, table size, total depth, pavilion depth, girdle thickness, star length. All of these are seen. Along with, we also see whether any proportion is affecting the durability of the stone, like if the girdle is too thin, how the facets have been arranged symmetrically, what is the quality of the polish of those facets. All of these things combined together give the cut grade, and this is what has revolutionized the diamond industry in the past 15 years. The cut grade of the diamond has really made it possible that a diamond could now be sold without having to be seen, just based on the report, because it has all the parameters of beauty also incorporated in it. Our next C is diamond clarity. And diamond clarity actually refers to the absence or presence of what we call as clarity characteristics. Now, these clarity characteristics are basically a result of the way diamonds form inside the earth. Natural diamonds are, a result of carbon being exposed to temperature and pressure, as I mentioned earlier. And this process can result in a variety of internal characteristics, which we call as inclusions, as well as some external characteristics, which we call as blemishes. Now, evaluating diamond clarity involves determining the size, number, nature, position, and relief of these characteristics, as well as how these affect the overall appearance of the stone. Now, based on these 5 factors, of the clarity characteristics, GIA divided its clarity scale from flawless, internally flawless, VVS1, VVS2, all the way up to I3. So we have six main categories, as you can see here: flawless, internally flawless, VVS, VS, SI, and I, which are divided into 11 specific grades. Now, how did the clarity scale come to be? Just like the color scale, the clarity scale was developed by GIA because jewelers were using terms that were very misrepresenting, like loop clean or PK or deluxe, super deluxe. Today, you can buy a diamond anywhere in the world, and a jeweler will talk about whether it's a VVS1 or an SI2, regardless of their language, whether they speak French or Japanese or Hindi. That's the language they communicate. What are these 11 grades? Let us look at them. So flawless means when you see a diamond at 10x magnification, which is the standard magnification for grading a diamond, your diamond does not show any inclusions or blemishes. An IF, or an internally flawless, will be no inclusions visible under 10x magnification, can have some blemishes. VVS1 and VVS2 are very, very slightly included diamonds, and these inclusions are so tiny or slight that they are very difficult to see even for a skill grader under 10x magnification. So they are very minute. VS1 and VS2 are minor inclusions which are somewhat difficult for the skill grader to see, and hence they are called as very slightly included. Slightly included, which is SI1 and SI2, are noticeable inclusions under 10x magnification, and if you see the diagram above, you can see some really inclusions starting to stand out here. Then we go to the included category, which is the I1, I2, I3, in which inclusions are very obvious under the 10x magnification, and they may affect the transparency and brilliance of the stone. So many inclusions and blemishes are so tiny to be seen by anyone other than the grader that to the naked eye, a VS1 and an SI2 can appear absolutely similar. But to a grader who is skilled, or to a trader who buys diamonds, these two diamonds can be extremely different in terms of overall quality and their value. And that is why expert and accurate assessment of diamond clarity is extremely important. Which takes me to the last diamond C, which is the carat weight. Now, in order to understand the carat weight, or what carat measures, we should first know the origin of the modern carat system. Like, the carat system or the carat weight came from the word carob. Now, these were carob seeds which since centuries were being used by early gem traders because they were small, they were uniform, and uniform in weight also. Today, the carat weight means a particular weight, and it's a very standardized thing, and it denotes the weight of the diamond. So 1 metric carat is equal to 200 milligrams, or 0.2 grams. It is about the same weight as a paper clip, but don't confuse carat of C with carat of K, which is used to denote gold's purity. Now, a carat is also expressed into points. So 1 carat is subdivided into 100 points. Like 1 rupee has 100 paisa, same way 1 carat has 100 points. And so if a trader has to talk about a diamond which is say below 1 carat, usually they use the word points alone. For example, if it's a 0.25 carat stone, we will say it's a 25 pointer stone, so on and so forth. Also, if everything else is equal, as you can see on your screen here, we have denoted some various sizes. If everything else is equal, the diamond price really increases exponentially with the carat weight, because larger diamonds are much more rarer to get, and they are considered much more desirable. However, since I am at the end of the 4 C's, I would also like to tell you that the 4 C's have to be seen together. 2 diamonds of equal carat weight can be extremely different in their rarity and value, because all the 4 C's, the cut, the color, the clarity, and carat weight, have to work in together to decide how rare this diamond is in the rarity scale, and that's how you derive the value of the stone. So now, while you know what the carat weight means, It is important to remember that the value is determined using all the four C's and not just the carat weight. So what all services GIA gives for the four C's? For more than 50 years, we have been giving out our grading reports to jewelers everywhere around the world, and it is considered as a gold standard or a premier credential for diamonds' authenticity and quality. Our most famous report is the Diamond Grading Report, which includes an assessment of the four C's: the cut, color, clarity, carat weight. Along with it, it has a plotted diagram of clarity characteristics, which is a graphic representation of diamonds proportions also. For standard round bullion cuts, you will find on these reports cut grade also mentioned. Of course, we will give these reports only to loose diamonds which are not mounted, also which are not diamond simulants. You can see here the report has a golden brown color to it. This is for the natural diamonds. But if a diamond is laboratory grown, then there is a separate report issued to it, which is gray in color. So that's how you can identify these different types of reports also. Also, GIA will not give any report for any diamond which has undergone any unstable treatment, such as fracture filling or coating. And if there is a stable treatment also done, like HPST or laser drilling done on the stone, our report will mention that this diamond has been treated. Apart from that, we have a more condensed report, which is called as a diamond dossier report, which is really popular for diamonds below 1 carats, but you can get a dossier till 1.99 carats. The only difference between a dossier report and a full grade report is that the dossier report does not contain the plot diagram of the stone. We have the melee analysis services, which is used for diamonds below 15 points, your meles. If you want them to be identified, whether it is a natural or a laboratory grown, or even if you want any color grading being done on that, we have updated our melee analysis services, so you can get that. GIA also has the diamond focus report, which is for diamonds below 20 points, and this is just a digital report that you get for smaller diamonds. And of course, it is more cost effective, so it justifies getting a smaller diamond also graded by GIA now. We very recently launched the Diamond Origin Report, which talks about where your diamond comes from, because in today's market, people want to know authenticity and how ethically sourced their product is. To answer that, we have started with our Diamond Origin reports, and you can visit our booth. You will find brochures for all of these services on our booth, and if you need any more information, you can contact us there. Another very important tool we have for retailers, jewelers, even for consumers, is the GIS 4Cs Guide app, which is a very, very interactive tool, which we have developed to teach or communicate how the 4Cs affect the stone and what exactly are these. So the GI 4Cs app is downloadable on the Apple Store as well as the Google Play Store and Kindle Fire as well. And it features video and interactive tools that teach us how to grade color, clarity, cut, and carat weight. It also explains these different grading scales with visuals and animations. Also, how these grades of color, clarity, and cut affect the diamond value, and the origins of the carat system also are mentioned in this. Also, this interactive tool shows us that how the diamond color changes when you slide from D to Z. The diamond colors will change and tell you the difference between different colors. What are the typical inclusions and blemishes that we can see at various clarity scale? How a diamond anatomy is, and how these various parameters influence its cut grade. How the single stone's size changes by the carat weight and enables you to compare different size of stones. There is also a very interactive tool, the GI Grading Report Anatomy, which helps consumers and retailers to understand what are the different components that make up a GI report and how to read the report, what are the security features in it. For retailers and for consumers, there is also one very interesting feature in the app, which is the retailer lookup. Now, retailer lookup is for if you are a consumer and you want to know whether there is a jeweler in your area who carries GI graded stones, or who has representative which are trained by GIA. You can just type in your area or the zip code or the pin code, and you will get details of such jeweler. For retailers, it's a great way to just register with the retailer lookup, which is a free service, and be known to the consumers that you are someone who carries professional knowledge as well as diamonds graded by GIA. Till now, we have more than 7,500 retailers worldwide who have joined us in the retailer lookup. Also, there is a direct access to the report check service. Of course, network connection will be required for that. But if you want to know, you have a GI report in your hand or a stone with GI report, and you don't have the report for it, you want to know about it, you just read the laser inscription, type that report number in the report check, and you will get the report that GI issued for that stone along with the date it was issued and all the other things. So these are some very interesting tools that are there that you can use to update yourself or your consumers, if you are the consumer, to ask some difficult question to your retailers. And you can log on to the GI's website, www.giindia.in or gi.edu, and get wealth of information. Just visit our booth if you need something more. I will conclude my presentation here, and I would ask my colleague Jamshed if we have any questions meanwhile.
Hi, Mohit. Thank you for the wonderful presentation, and I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Jamshed, you're audible.
Okay, so we have quite a few questions here, Mohit. So let me just get started with the questions. So the first question is, I think something that you covered in the presentation, but it would be good if you can just phrase it again, is where is ABC? Why is there no ABC in diamond color?
Yeah, so that's a very common and a very relevant question that we are asked every time. That why D in USD is not even considered a very popular digit, because if you consider the education system, D denotes failure. But what I mentioned earlier was that there were so many prevalent systems already in place, like ABC were the most common one which were used. Someone would say my diamond is A, someone would say my diamond is AB, AB plus, triple A, and these did not have any definitions associated with them, and they could over. I started, we wanted to start very fresh, but we still wanted to be in the alphabet system, and that's why we chose D for our best. I hope that answers it, Jamshed.
Yeah, thank you, Mohit. Mohit, another question is about pricing and how are diamonds priced?
Wow, that's a $1,000,000 question. Now, diamond pricing is a very, very complex thing, I must tell you. And pricing is not something that we really talk about, but I will still try to give a brief idea as to how it works. Because, it's not like gold where you have a rate which is given to you, and depending on the purity of the gold, you could just calculate the price. In diamonds, there are so many factors. I talked about the 4Cs. Along with the 4Cs, whether your stone is treated, untreated, whether a particular market has any comment on the fluorescence of the stone, how they take that into consideration. Then what is the demand and supply for a particular stone, particular shape, particular size in a particular market. That will decide the price. In India, even the dollar rate, if today the dollar rate goes from 75 to 60, there is a drop of say 20% in the price, but globally there is no drop in the price. So local market conditions, economic conditions, everything comes in and creates the diamond price. So it's very hard to put a finger on one thing that this is how you can determine the price. I would say just be in touch with the trade, and that's how you will get to know about how the pricing system really works.
Okay. Thank you, Mohit. Mohit, the next question is basically how long are GIA classes? Because I am already in the business and I can't spend a lot of time on education currently. So what are the options that I have?
Yeah, very relevant question. So if you want the GI diploma, which is the graduate diamond, I understand it is a 8-week program. And for a person who's already into business, taking out 8 weeks from your schedule becomes next to impossible. And also because our classes run from morning till evening from 9:30 to 4:30 or 9 to 4. But we have addressed this because we do have something called as the Diamond Grading Lab class, which is a 5-day program and which is designed specially for those who are already in the industry and cannot go back and spend so many days. So we teach you how to grade a diamond based on the 4Cs in the matter of 5 days. And it's a practical based class where you grade quite a number of stones and you are examined also for that in the end. We do it in various cities in India. Of course, that was pre-lockdown, post-lockdown. Just get in touch with us if you want us to conduct any program in your city. We will be happily willing to do that.
Okay, Mohit, and is there any basic criteria for anyone to enroll for these programs?
Yeah, we require 10 plus 2 or what you say as the junior college, I think. So 10 plus 2 is required. A basic understanding of English language because the books are in English, but we can talk in Hindi also. So that's the only requirement. Otherwise, just passion for learning, nothing else.
Okay, Mohit. Mohit, the next question is what clarities can look flawless to the naked eye?
Uh, I I don't know if clarities can look flawless to the naked eye, but if you have a stone which is say even an SI1 or an SI2, there are SI2s which you can't see any inclusion face up with the unaided eye, and so with the VVS ones also. So it all depends on what kind of inclusion is there. If it's a black crystal right under the table, it might be easier to see. But if it says a feather which is under the girdle, not too deep, then you might not be able to see even an SI1 feather with the unaided eye face up. So there is no such rule as to which clarity grades you can see unaided eye inclusions. But it's really difficult even in SI1s to see or SI2s to see that at times.
Okay, Mohit. Mohit, the next question is about fluorescence and what is fluorescence in a diamond? So basically.
So fluorescence is a property which is a very controversial topic at times. But if you want to understand fluorescence, it's just that when you put your diamond into a particular type of light, that particular type of light is ultraviolet light. When you put your diamond into ultraviolet light, and if it glows in that ultraviolet light, that phenomena is called as fluorescence in a stone. And not all diamonds fluoresce. About of all the stones that are submitted to GI, about one third of the stones show fluorescence. And then based on what color it is glowing, what is the intensity, GI on its report will classify fluorescence as none, faint, medium, strong, and very strong.
Okay, Mohit, so I think we have two more questions and I'll go with one first, where from a buyer perspective, how can a buyer understand the quality and the value of diamonds?
Oh, that's such an important question in today's time, more when standardization has really taken over the diamond market. So, as a buyer, you don't want to be caught, off guard as to not aware about how to grade a diamond. So, the best bet is get trained in grading diamonds. Of course, you become a master by uh, following those training skills or those grading skills over a period of time, but at least learn how to grade a diamond, how to hold it, what qualifies a stone as a VVS2 or a VS1, how is that difference, or how do you grade color, how do you grade cut. So I would say learn grading, because once you learn grading, you have covered a very vast chunk of what determines a diamond's value. After that, you need to be in the trade to understand what are the variable factors that are affecting the value and price of the stone. But if you don't know grading, knowing the dollar rate won't help you determine the diamond's price. I would say that get educated on diamond grading.
Okay, Mohit, and one last question for now is what is polish and symmetry?
Yeah, so polish and symmetry are two components which we at GIA, qualify under the cut of the diamond, and they are also evaluated while we are evaluating the cut of the stone. Now, polish is just like how if you are making facets or grinding the stone on a polishing wheel, how precisely you have done that job, that the shine of the facet is absolutely uh, tremendous, reflecting all the light. There are no blemishes left on the surface. So how well you have finished the stone, it's like you have a leather shoe which is dirty and you just brush it up and polish it and it shines again. That's the importance of polish, basically, that if you don't polish the stone well, your stone will just not shine. when we talk about, did you ask about symmetry, right?
Yeah, yes, Mohit.
Yeah, so symmetry is also another aspect of cut where you are paying more attention or focus to the precision of the cut. Like if I have made a round brilliant cut, is it a perfect round or almost a perfect round with no visible, deformities in the shape? If I am making a table, is it a perfect octagon? Are all the facets pointing at one place? Are all the facets of same shape size or not? Whether the crown angles are balanced or not? Basically talking about the precision and the balance of the cut, because that will also have an impact on how you are able to set the stone in jewelry, as well as how it will interact with light and appear beautiful or not. So these two are components of the cut itself.
Okay, thank you so much, Mohit. I think this was very, very, informative. And as you mentioned earlier, if anyone has any questions, please visit our booth. You can talk to our representatives out there. You can download a few brochures, or you can also connect to us offline later on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. We would just like Padma ji to come over and conclude the session. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mohit, for a very engaging and educative session. Thank you very much, audience, for being with us and being a lovely, giving us a lovely time. Thank you all. Goodbye.